Matt, for hundreds of years, this famous royal mile has hosted processions of kings and queens. But the scene today, there's never been anything quite like it. From the crowds as deep as these narrow old streets would allow, to the almost eerie sound on the cobblestones of horseshoes and formal shoes belonging to the king himself as he walked behind his mother's coffin, up the Royal Mile to the cathedral here and into a service of the most remarkable warmth. Now, the King has been speaking about that warmth tonight in the Scottish Parliament. He said there was a deep and abiding bond between the Queen and the people of Scotland. Now, as you say, sometime soon we expect to see the King return here for a tradition known as the Vigil of the Princes. He and his siblings will stand next to the coffin here at St. Giles Cathedral. And when they leave, the coffin will remain at rest here. The public will file past and pay their respects long into the night on this most momentous day. The King steps onto Scottish soil and into a day of ceremony and solemnity. Greeted, head bowed, by the First Minister of Scotland. Joining the Queen's final journey, beginning one of his own. Down the Royal Mile, on a wave of applause, to the Palace of Holyrood House, where the Queen lay overnight. A guard of honour, his official residence now. His name in the anthem. His arrival marked by a 21-gun salute from the castle. As the keys to this great city are passed to the new king. Formality and informality. The king and queen consort with the crowds. Meetings of eyes and hearts. The coffin is draped in the royal standard for Scotland. Upon it, a wreath with heather from the Queen's Highland haven, Balmoral. And begins its climb up the Royal Mile. Pavements packed along this narrow street, heavy with the history of kings and queens past and present. King Charles follows on foot with his 3 siblings. A lone man heckling Prince Andrew, drowned out with shouts of "God save the King," led to his arrest. Further up, they wait in silence. There is a profound intimacy here, multiplied many thousand-fold, a feeling strong enough almost for the King to touch. His focus is ahead. One step at a time. This mournful march brings the cortege to St. Giles Cathedral. The Queen, whose faith ran deep, will be celebrated here. And remembered. The crown of Scotland was hers longer than anyone's.
So we gather to bid Scotland's farewell to our late monarch, whose life of service to the nation and the world we celebrate, and whose love for Scotland was legendary.
Among the congregation, political leaders, those the Queen met over a lifetime in Scotland. Echoes of earlier times, Psalm 23, performed at her marriage. Outside His Majesty, arm raised in appreciation for the many who turned out.
I felt as if I was the only person here for a moment, just paying homage to a homage, whatever you want to say. It's just such an absolutely fabulous woman.
Until tomorrow, the coffin will lie at rest in the cathedral. This queue is to file past it. Sheila is at the front.
I'm hoping we get a chance just to bow our heads. And I was going to say what Paddington Bear said. Thank you, Mum, for everything.
Tonight, his first visit as king to the Scottish Parliament. Fanfare first, then 2 minutes silence. And condolences.
While the nation's grief is for our Queen, the royal families is for their beloved mother, grandmother and great-grandmother. Today, on behalf of the Parliament and people of Scotland, I offer my heartfelt condolences to your Majesties.
The King rose to his feet. It was here that his mother spoke of her deep affection for Scotland.
I know that the Scottish Parliament and the people of Scotland share with me a profound sense of grief at the death of my beloved mother. My mother felt, as I do, the greatest admiration for the Scottish people, for their magnificent achievements and their indomitable spirit.
Today, that affection was returned.
Kieran Jenkins reporting. Well, Edinburgh's Royal Mile is a narrow stretch of cobbled road where thousands of people from all over the United Kingdom and indeed the world packed in today, cheek by jowl, to watch the Queen's coffin make its journey from the Palace of Holyrood House behind me in a slow procession to St Giles Cathedral halfway up the hill. The predominant sound was silence, followed by reflections. A royal salute for a new era. Smartphones aloft to capture the hooves of history. The private grief of a family playing two roles, bereaved offspring and public servants. Prince Andrew allowed back into the fold for this period of mourning, but here not allowed to wear his uniform. Their eyes glued on the new king, a son of 73, who now needs to perform the job that he was born into at the age when most of us have retired.
It was just emotional, the hearse and then obviously the king and the rest of the royal family, being so close to them, that really brought home how upsetting it must be that they have to go through this and then they'll have to do it all again on Monday. So yeah, my heart went out to them.
I think it was important to be there. I know that maybe sounds a bit daft and old-fashioned, but if it is, it's 350,000. We're feeling the same way.